first episode of ZNZ Reviews. Today we'll be reviewing Battle LA. But first I'm going to give you our basic setup of the movie. First, we will give you an overview of the movie. Then, we will give our thoughts on it, compare it to 3 other movies, and then give you a final number. Based on a scale of 10, I believe.
Yeah.
First, I'm gonna say, Battle LA is about aliens coming to Earth and pretty much terrorizing Los Angeles for a reason you will learn later on in the movie. My personal opinion on it is that it's good for action, but the trailer was talked about. I think it was talked about on forums that it could actually be a deep movie.
And I didn't read forums, but that's how it felt.
It was more of an action movie, and that wasn't a bad thing. But having seen the trailers and being hyped up about this War of the Worlds type invasion movie, and then coming in and it being this,
it's like a Call of Duty game.
Yeah, it's like a video game, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. But when you go into a movie, you're expecting a movie, not a video game.
That's true.
That's my thoughts. Anything you want to share, Nathan?
No, not right now.
What I was going to say is there's the ups and the downs of the movies. One of the downs, I didn't really love the direction style because I felt it, at the beginning, it really bothered me. Towards the end, you didn't notice it as much. However, at the beginning, just the way it was, not steady, shaking, which obviously was on purpose. It wasn't like a mess up by the director himself. I just didn't really love that about the movie itself. However, that's kind of what it sells in the preview. Obviously, it's not like a big twist or something that the camera is going to shake. I just didn't love that style myself. But otherwise, the movie, like Zach said, was good action, special effects. It just wasn't a great story. The
special effects kind of copied off of District 9, I thought.
Yeah, a little bit. The script itself wasn't strong, very strong. The characters were recyclable characters, they weren't anything too important.
You had seen them before.
Yeah, all seen before. However, that being said, that doesn't make it a bad movie. It was still entertaining, which is kind of the purpose of the movie.
It was a really good movie, though.
Yeah, it was good to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what movies are for.
Yeah, but it's not going to compare up to War of the Worlds or anything like it. How about we move on to the comparing 3 movies?
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first movie we want to compare to is War of the Worlds. Me, personally, I thought War of the Worlds was better. I think you guys would agree, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was more an emotional story rather than the explosions and just random gunfire. It didn't work for me, but anything you want to share about War of the Worlds?
Yeah, War of the Worlds was a little more, I like the direction of War of the Worlds better, but it did have a better story, a deeper story.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously it was based off of an awesome book, so.
Never read the book, yeah.
I read the book. How did you read the book?
I don't remember the movie that much, but I love the action in it.
Remember we went to the set of the movie?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was pretty cool. It was a crashed airplane, yeah.
Next movie we want to compare it to is Independence Day. I would say it's a little bit better than Independence Day because it's probably more deep than Independence Day. It's funnier, and it's more of a gritty, dark style, whereas Independence Day was very just explosions, and I thought, Battle LA is explosions, don't get me wrong, but it takes at least a little bit more effort into the actual story. Yeah, so.
What else would you compare it to? Another one we would compare it to is District 9, which I wasn't too big a fan of. Nathan's never seen. Zach really liked it, so why don't you do it?
I really liked District 9, and I would say, again, that Battle LA is not District 9. It tries to be at times with its
direction style.
With its direction style, with its special effects, with just the basic style of the movie. It's not completely copying it. But
no, it was almost like they kind of took it a little bit. In District 9, the aliens aren't the bad guys like they are in Battle LA, but it was almost like they took kind of a little bit of it, and then just made it more of an action movie, more of like a war movie than District 9 was. Would you agree?
Yeah. District 9 was about action. This
Yeah.
one was more. The other thing I will say about the movie is that Nathan pointed this out to me earlier that it doesn't really. This isn't spoiling anything.
It just
but
give you a
it doesn't give
perspective
you
of
the perspective of the aliens. Whereas in War of the Worlds, in District 9, and I mean, like, District 9 wouldn't be the best comparison in this case, but in all of these, in all war movies, matter of fact, they're just, you always know the reasons for the enemies attacking at the very beginning, and you get their side of it, whereas this one is very one-sided.
One-sided story.
It doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense there.
You know what I really thought I compared it to, though, was like similarity, was the Mars Invasion movie.
Mars.
Remember?
Oh, you mean the comedic one from 1995?
Yeah.
Really? You
Yeah.
Mars Attacks?
Yeah,
Mars
Attacks.
You compare it to Mars
Yeah.
Attacks.
Well, I know it's way off, though, but
It's
think
way off.
You realize that wasn't really the same film.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Alright, all this being said, though, critics
Um,
have really trashed on this movie more than it deserved to be trashed on.
Right. Entertainment Weekly gave it a D. I would not go that far because, I mean,
A
the
B
fact of the
minus.
matter is,
C plus B minus range.
the fact of the matter
Yeah.
is, the commercials give a pretty clear picture of what the movie will be. I was disappointed because I saw the trailers a lot, and the trailers were really good and looked like they could be a really deep story.
I thought
Yeah, it didn't live up to my expectations. You know what the other thing was? The dialogue. The dialogue was just awful. Really awful.
That veterinarian
We're
scene,
not-
I want to quote, but yeah, you'll see a
Wait,
veterinarian.
I think we can
scene.
quote. I mean, that's
You
not
want
too
to?
much of a spoiler.
So at one point they decide they want to not exactly dissect the aliens, but find out, they find one that's not dead yet, but that's dying, and they want to find out, what its weak point is. So they take it,
rip
and,
it open.
Aaron Eckhart's character takes it upstairs. Well, they're with a group of other people that are just civilians, and one of them decides, while Aaron Eckhart's taking it upstairs, that, hey, maybe I can help. I'm a veterinarian. Which,
That makes no
aliens,
sense.
it makes no sense. She later says in the movie that, oh, she's a veterinarian to
it
animals
does
and
make fun of that,
animals
though.
and aliens. It makes fun of it, but it was such a ridiculous statement in the first place that I guess she would be more qualified than the average person, but it didn't make any sense.
Hector.
Yeah.
And then there was little Hector, but...
Little Hector. Okay, so in this scene in the movie, I'm not even gonna talk about it. It was
Just when you see little Hector with help, you'll understand.
when you see little Hector and the crowd in your movie theater start laughing, it's because the line doesn't make any sense. I'm not
Just the
gonna
way it was
spoil it
thrown
to
in
you.
there.
It's just thrown out there, and obviously, I feel like at some point in the filmmaking process, the line served more of a purpose. But when it was just thrown out there, and it just sounds not right.
Yeah,
just not right. So do we want to give our basic numbers? Are we about?
Do one last thing though. So, obviously, we've already said we don't 100% agree with the critics who just flat out hated it. Although we kind of don't usually agree with critics in. There's plenty of cases where we disagree with critics, which is kind of why we started.
If you're looking for critic
our own
reviews, I
review.
mean, don't even come back to this review area.
Yeah,
because,
we're not really with critics.
I mean, just look at this. This is Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko, and Donnie Darko was trashed. Watchmen, also very. I mean, it was more moderate, but these are some of our favorite movies of all time. So this is us giving our opinion on the movie.
What'd you give it, out of 10?
I give it a 7, a higher 7, but a 7 because I guess it's a little bit biased from my point of view because I had been watching the trailers, and when the commercials came on, that's when it just makes it out to be this stupid action movie. So I give it a 7.
It's you.
I'd probably give it like an 8.5 maybe. I love it, but I liked it a lot. Probably one of my top 3 favorite movies of the year, though.
So far.
So far, yeah.
So far.
I've seen Romeo and Juliet, Unknown, I Am Number 4, and
Rango.
I know 4 was awful. Some parts.
Some parts were off.
That's a different review
that's
for a
not,
different
that's
day.
Not
Yeah.
a review. Not our review.
I would give it an 8 because it was fun to watch. It was entertaining. It definitely, once it got to the action, it was all the way through solid in that part. And, I think it did a good job. Of course, it wasn't like, this fantastic movie that's going to win Oscars. But it was good for what it was. Zach expected a little bit more of a story, and I did at first. Although once it came closer to the date, I had kind of figured out that it wasn't going to be exactly what we had hoped for at first. However, I give it an 8. I think it was good. It was entertaining to watch. Something that I would watch a few more times afterwards.
So our basic number we agreed on earlier would be a 7.5.
It's a 7, 8, 7.5.
7.5, 7 or 8. Because it's more of a middle of the road. It's don't go to it if you were expecting a good story. You're just wasting your money. But if you want action, go and see it because it is. There were a lot of explosions in that
cool.
part.
Yeah,
like,
it was
oh
cool.
my gosh, yeah.
Effects were awesome, I thought.
The aliens themselves looked really cool too.
Okay.
And,
So
so that's about it. We will be reviewing next week. We plan to review Limitless and Paul, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Limitless and Paul.
Limitless and Paul. So until next week, this is ZNZ Reviews, and
Signing out.
signing out.